I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on.
Hey, yo, whatever happened to Derek Chauvin? Click clack.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
We gonna send this motherfucker to jail.
Hey, Evan from High Media here, and I got a quick question for you. When is police culture going to change? You know, in the wake of the Derek Chauvin trial, you know, which was about, I think it was like, you know, it felt like it was only a few weeks that the trial actually went on. But I think just this past week alone, at least 2 or 3 people have gotten murdered by police officers or killed by police, you know, using excessive force. Some of them actual children. So, and that is not to say the tens of thousands of people who are being subjects of police overstepping their authority, not, you know, and abusing their power every single day. So, you know, this is a great first step, but that's what all it is. It's a first step. If we don't take any further steps after it, it's almost meaningless. You know, we've been talking about police being relatively brutal for years. I mean, if you remember those pictures of German shepherds and water hoses from the civil rights movement, cops are doing that to children. That was about 5,000 black kids who were literally like going out trying to fill up the prison system because, you know, the way the prisons were even worse back then when in a for-profit model. And basically all the kids were basically like, we up, because none of their parents could do it because they had to, you know, support their families. If they went to prison, like, their family would starve, you know. So, you know, when you see those pictures, like, the cops were not above sticking dogs on children, you know. So it's just honestly like we've been waiting for this for decades, and this is, I think, one of the first, if not the first, real step towards holding police accountable. But, you know, we have to hold police accountable even when there's overwhelming evidence. And when I say overwhelming evidence, I mean proving it to a jury beyond their reasonable doubt. Juries should no longer be allowed to consider that a cop is a cop during a trial, because, you know, that's how plenty of them have gotten off. I would encourage there to be a new law where there has to be a exact representation, demographic breakdown in the jury pool. Like, if you have like a population of 7%, you know, like, you just have to have a person of color on the jury, because studies have shown time and time again, like, if you have one person of color on a jury pool, it completely, they're much less likely to consider guilt. You know, they're more likely to consider, hey, maybe the prosecutor's doing something funny, because at the end of the day, when you look at the report that was written on the George Floyd situation, what it said in summary was, a person was already ill at the scene, no cops were injured, no people on site were injured except for the person who was the offender, and he was sent into the hospital where he later then died. That is the official report on how George Floyd was murdered. It didn't mention how Derek Chauvin's knee was on his neck for what was it, 8 minutes and 49 seconds, I think it was. I think the total length of the video was 9 minutes and 29 seconds. You know, the authorities in this country make it very, very difficult to trust them, and what are cops and local precincts going to do to rekindle that faith that people once had, if they ever had it in them in certain communities. So here's a quick question for you. When is police culture going to change? Because until start, you know, until police and police unions start holding their members accountable, nothing's going to change. Because, you know what they say, you know, the system is working as intended. There are no good cops because the system is inherently wrong in the first place? I'd love to know what you think down below. And Sean, I look forward to your response video. Toodles!
Poggers.